On everyone. So I am here to review The Green Mile, as you know, because you clicked on the review. But I've been doing recently 20-year anniversary reviews in celebration of films from 1999 because I always tell people that 1999 was an incredible year for movies. Still stand by that word. And The Green Mile, it's one of those films, so why not review it? So here we are, guys. The Green Mile came out in 1999 of December. And for those of you who don't know, it's about the lives of guards on death row and how they're affected by one particular prisoner, as well as how he has a particular gift. This is a film that was one of the first R-rated movies I saw when I was 16. And I will never forget the first time I saw it because I had recently also seen The Shawshank Redemption. And I heard about The Green Mile because that was also a prison film, also done by the same director. And I remember watching The Green Mile and saying, it's good, but it's not great. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that The Shawshank Redemption, it plays with your heart. You know, it doesn't rip your heart out the way The Green Mile does. And I think as a 16-year-old, I wasn't able to appreciate that, yes, they're two different prison movies. You know, like, I guess I thought it was going to be like Shawshank Redemption 2. And it's not. Like, The Green Mile stands on its own as a completely different movie. Yes, they're both adapted by Stephen King adaptations, as well as, yes, they are both prison movies, but they are completely different. And I guess the reason why I'm saying this straight up is because if you are a viewer that hasn't seen The Green Mile yet, I think you should know that they're completely different movies. The Green Mile is more focused on, I would say, the overall atmosphere. You know, it's focused on the atmosphere, characters, and writing. And I think what really works with the movie is that the cast is one of the best I've ever seen to date of film. I mean, American Beauty is my favorite movie of 1999, if not of all time. And I love the cast of that movie, but The Green Mile, I think, has perfect casting. There are so many characters, and every single character is perfectly cast. And not only that, they also all have emotional payoffs, all emotional moments. I mean, get a load of this cast. For those of you that haven't seen the movie, it's got Tom Hanks, Michael Clark Duncan, David Morse, Michael Jeter, Sam Rockwell, Graham Greene, who actually, teared me up this time, Barry Pepper, and Harry Dean Stanton in a role that's very comedic. This is a movie that it's got an incredible cast with incredible character development. I mean, the 3 hour and 9 minute runtime is focused solely on building these characters up and having those emotional payoffs. And again, the premise is simple, but the way it's executed by Darabont's directing, it's incredible in my opinion. I also haven't even mentioned the technical aspects of the movie. So as you guys know, I'm a fan of the writing, I'm a fan of the character development and cast, but the technical aspect is also incredible. I absolutely love Thomas Newman's score. His score in this film is incredible. I mean, I love him. He's one of my favorite composers, but in this film especially, he really does know how to play with your heart. He really does with the way he evokes the score. I really liked it. Also, the sound design I especially think was really good. And I think this time around, because I have a surround system now, I was able to really appreciate like all the little sounds and nuances. Like it works a lot. Like from the electric chair, like the little noises it makes. It's really good stuff. Also, the cinematography I absolutely love. It's very like honey based in terms of like the color palette, and I liked it because it makes sense given the fact that the movie takes place like in the South. So I really dug that. The production and costume design were also incredible, especially the costume design. Like it's very accurate, other than the uniforms, because the uniforms they didn't have uniforms during that time period. I didn't find out until recently. I was like, oh wow. And it makes sense though because it's like as a 2010 viewer, 2010s viewer, I should say. You know, you always think of like prison guards having uniforms, but during that time period they didn't. So it was a change that they had made so that you could obviously tell who was a prison guard and who was a prisoner. Makes sense, honestly. So I can adhere to that, poetic license. Production design though was also top notch, very accurate for the time period. Makeup was also good. And the CGI effects, I think for the most part, have actually aged really well. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are just certain sequences that happen, and it actually really holds up. Like it's pretty effective. So what doesn't work though about this film? Well, the film here's the thing is with this movie is that John Coffey, who's played by Michael Clark Duncan, his character is essentially the magical Negro stereotype character. And I hate saying that. I hate saying that on camera, but I also don't want to lie. Like, that is a stereotype where, for those of you who don't know, it's a stereotype where an African American character is utilized, and he's like a stock character. He's utilized for the sake of helping out white protagonists. And this movie is definitely a case of that. And the thing is, that part I don't like. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the character development, how they're really fleshing everybody out, including John Coffey. But I just don't like how that is, in fact, what that trope is. And that's the only thing. But, like, it's also Stephen King's work. So, like, I don't necessarily blame the film, per se, 100%, because Stephen King's the one that wrote that. You know, and then obviously Frank Darabont is a very faithful adapter, so he put it in the film, which makes sense. Also, one of my original qualms with the movie when I first saw it, like all those years ago, was that I felt the film was too long. I don't think it's too long anymore. I think, in fact, the pacing is perfect. I think the length is awesome. Like, I really like how it takes its time with things, and so you really get an adherence to, like, every single character, as I mentioned earlier. But my negative now, not just with the Magical Negro trope, but the movie's last 10 minutes. There's a big emotional moment right before the last 10 minutes. And then the last 10 minutes, it's almost like it's trying to be very bittersweet, where it's like, okay, we ripped out your heart, but here, we're going to try and mend it back a little bit just to, like, lessen the blow. And just for me personally, if I'm feeling, like, very emotional, which I don't think I even mentioned just yet, but this movie makes me really emotional. I'm very in tune to my emotions. That's why I'm fine with saying it on camera. But this movie makes me very emotional. And that's why it's so effective for me personally. But the last 10 minutes, it's almost like it's trying to put a Band-Aid on a cut. And it's just kind of like, just let me bleed out, man. You know, that's just my viewpoint. From a story perspective and from a writing perspective, it made sense, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, 75% of me is on board with the ending. But, like, that 25% of me, maybe it's just the nihilistic part of me, is kind of like, no, let me feel those emotions that happened right before the last 10 minutes. And that's just, I guess, a preference. But nonetheless, I think overall, again, the character development, the cast, all the technical aspects, the writing, the emotional payoffs, the motifs, the characters with how they're not just black and white, there is some gray in them, even though they are drawn as if they're black and white, but there is gray in them. All of that makes for a substantially incredible experience. The Green Mile is one of my favorite films of the 1990s, and maybe of all time too. Like, it's definitely, it's teetering on in my top 100. Like, right now it is, but I don't know if it's going to stay there. But, like, it's definitely, like, almost, it might stay, because I think this movie's very effective with what it's going for. Minor negatives aside, I think it's a very effective movie, and I am glad that it did get recognized at the Oscars. It received 4 Oscar nominations. It's a critical darling. Audiences love it to this day. It's in the top 50 of IMDb. So I am glad that 20 years later, it's still relevant in our society. And I think if you haven't seen The Green Mile yet, you definitely should do a service to yourself and watch it, because it's a very effective movie. And even if you don't feel emotional towards it, like in terms of like your crown or everything, it's still a movie that you can see what the filmmakers are trying to do. And for that alone, if you're able to appreciate filmmaking, I think give it a shot, because it is a really good movie. And that's why The Green Mile, for me, guys, I'm giving it a 4.75 to 5-star rating, which for those that like a hot sauce rating, it's the good old Tabasco rating. Yeah, it's a very effective movie. Again, almost a 5 to 5, but there were just a couple of minor nitpicks with the movie. But besides that, The Green Mile, I would highly recommend. Check it out if you can. Yeah, that's my review of The Green Mile. Stay tuned for a couple more 1999 movie reviews. And check out my other ones. I've done Fight Club, Being John Malkovich, American Beauty, The Matrix. So check them out. I'll put a link in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. And I'll click the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.